Hey, Mike Philippov here. Today I'm going to show you my favorite slightly insane two-hand synchronization exercises that are going to help you not just play guitar faster, but make your speed sound cleaner and tighter and more consistent at higher tempos. And the reason I love these exercises is because they emphasize or exaggerate different elements of two-hand synchronization that you're likely to get tripped up on as you practice your licks and work on building your speed. So even though I often speak out against practicing a lot of mindless exercises over and over, when you know what elements of technique you're trying to focus on, and you've got a pattern of notes that emphasizes or exaggerates the technical challenge, then you've got a winner. So I'm going to show you the exercises, and I'm going to explain the exact things to pay attention to so you get the most gains out of each one. Let's go. Exercise 1 goes like this. The reason I love this exercise is that it forces you to accent every other beat with a different pick stroke. You're playing the first group of 3 starting with a down, and then you're playing the next group of 3 starting over with an up. All together like this. And that forces you to even things out. If you've got a hard time making your upstrokes as accented or as articulate as your downstrokes, this exercise is going to expose that and force you to work on this weakness. And as your upstrokes even out with your downstrokes, your synchronization becomes tighter and your playing becomes cleaner. The other thing you want to pay attention to is not letting the pick wobble inside of your grip as you're playing notes. What I see some people do is they try to control excessive tension in their hand, which is good, but they often overcompensate the tension issue by relaxing to such a degree that now their pick begins to wobble inside of their grip. And there are two problems with this. For one thing, the pick can often start to rotate in your hand as you're playing, which makes it obviously very hard to play because now you're not even in contact with the tip of the pick when you hit a string. But even worse than that is the pick now has to reset back to neutral after playing each note. And this micro delay of the pick having to reset like this or compensate for the rotation of the pick makes it very hard or really impossible to keep your hands in sync at higher tempos. What you want to do is find a way of holding the pick where it feels as much a part of your hand or part of your wrist as your fingers are. And the way I accomplish that is I put the pick on the side of my index finger so it basically faces 90 degrees away from where the nail of my index finger is. Then I put the thumb on top of it and bend the thumb like this, and that gives me that really stable position where I don't have to squeeze the pick very hard at all, but it's very, very firm inside of my grip at the same time, and this makes it feel like the pick is literally molded into my hand. So every time my wrist moves, the pick moves at the same exact time. It doesn't wobble, it doesn't have to reset. That makes it much easier to keep my hands in sync. And what you want to do with this exercise is move it up and down the scale on one string. So in this case, we're in the key of A natural minor, so when you move it up and down the scale, it's going to sound like this. Now, a big challenge with keeping your hands in sync on a lick like this, believe it or not, is going to be your fretting hand index finger. You never want the index finger coming up in the air like this because having to bring it back down wastes time and that eats into your speed. But you also don't want the index finger planted or anchored here like this because it's never a good idea to have more than one finger fretting notes on the same string because that just wastes energy from your hand and it makes you tired. What you want to do instead is release the index finger from the note so it is hovering right next to the string, but it's not up in the air like this, but it's also not fretting the note. So you're just releasing the pressure without using any extra force to lift the finger off the string. Looks like this. And what I like about this is it keeps a 1-to-1 ratio between one action in the fretting hand and one action in the picking hand, which helps to keep your synchronization tight and to speed things up. Okay, moving on. Here's an awesome variation on the triplet exercise I just showed you, where you're still playing the same exact 3 notes, A, B, and C, that doesn't change, but instead of playing them as triplets, where it's groupings of 3 and the accent is always on the 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you're playing them as groups of 16th notes. So you're playing 3 notes as groupings of 4. What that does is it shifts the accent on each beat, and it's going to sound now like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And on guitar, goes like this. So what you want to do is move this pattern up and down the scale the same way as we did with the previous exercise, but paying attention to where the accents are to fall, like this. Okay, the next drill is really going to take things up a notch and is going to start to challenge your brain and your ear, probably even more so than your hands. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to the same pattern we used in the previous example, where you have 3 notes, but you're playing them with a 16th note feel, but you're going to insert an open string in there, so it's now going to feel like jumping on and off a moving treadmill. And of course, it's also a big challenge for your brain and for your ear to hear what's going on, where the beats are, where the accents are supposed to fall. Here's how it goes, slow. And from here, you're going to move it up and down the scale on one string. This is going to be quite challenging, actually, both in terms of keeping track of where everything is mentally and keeping your hand relaxed the whole time as you're shifting positions here. Okay, we're going to kick things up one more notch here, and we're going to take the same 3 notes we've been starting every exercise with so far, but instead of playing it as a grouping of 3, a triplet, or instead of playing it with a 16th note feel, you're going to play it with an 11 note feel, or if you prefer, a feeling of a grouping of 6 plus a grouping of 5. What you do is you play the 3 notes twice to get your grouping of 6, and then immediately you play a grouping of 5 starting from the 3rd note of the pattern, like this. So altogether you get a grouping of 6 plus a grouping of 5. And of course, what you do then is you take this pattern and you move it up and down the scale on one string. Sounds like this. Now, I hope that what I'm about to say is going to sound like complete common sense, because it is common sense. Please do not just take the examples I gave you and practice only the examples, because that is pretty pointless and you can be making the same mistake that I talked about in my video about exercises being useless. You want to focus on the spirit of what these exercises are supposed to help you with. So things like not letting the pick wobble inside your grip, controlling the index finger, controlling excessive tension in your body, timing control, and exaggerating various elements of synchronization you're trying to get better at, and come up with your own examples that focus on these fundamentals. And if you want more help with building your guitar speed, check out the link in the description of this video or go to the page on the screen right now. I'm going to show you a free 1-hour masterclass called Guitar Speed Formula. What it is a new way to build guitar speed without having to do the song and dance of starting slow and gradually build speed in small increments, because that's a pretty boring way to practice, and more importantly, doesn't work nearly as well as most people tell you that it does. If you want to know a new way to build speed, check out that link, enter your email address, I'll send you the video for free. As you work on building your speed, make sure to avoid these 6 common speed building mistakes, because they can cause lifelong speed plateaus if you're not careful, but this video protects you against them.